I guess they, if we would have brought them and you say they had to evolve, let's say 20 years from now, what do you think it's going to be like? The grooming, like
I don't
the
know.
competition side, not the grooming industry, just the competition side. What do you think? What route do you think it's
Well,
going to take?
poodles will definitely be better because that's just
But you
the
think,
way things go.
mhm,
I don't know how much better some of the other classes could get. I mean, there's some groomers out there that are doing sporting dogs and Bichons and the Bedlingtons. I mean, I don't know how much better you can get. I mean, obviously, some people have good days and bad days, and so maybe those things level out. I think as a whole, if you keep learning and evolving, it's just going to get better and better. But there's going to be a point where, I mean, we're humans, right? We aren't perfect,
yeah,
and you know, I can look at my work and find the holes.
yeah,
So it's just a matter of perfecting that part of it, and hopefully more competitors in the ring. I mean, I think every year we're growing as far as numbers go, which is good because that means there's more people out there that are going to have the ability to teach. Hopefully, not everybody's designed to teach because not everybody has the ability to regurgitate information accurately or retain it.
so
So there's a lot of talented groomers out there, but they're not all built to be educators.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's true.
So,
It's the
but they
same
can
thing.
educate in another way just by demonstration,
Yeah.
by demonstrating their beautiful work in the ring.
Do you think breed cuts will be still? Like, you think that more other like in the next 20 years? Do you think the rules will change and there'll still be as many breed? Because I know if you go back 20 years and the dogs that you used to see, probably your salon sees a lot of breed cuts. Many salons don't. You see a
Well,
lot,
mine don't see enough.
but what
The entire explosion of doodle land has definitely. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. This isn't funny, actually. From a breed preservation point of view, it is really, really scary with this because in my time as an alert human, so when I was old enough to be aware, cockapoos were a thing in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s even, and I saw that coming through with I was in my mom's salon enough to know what that looked like, and the schnoodle came through, the poodle schnauzer mix came through, and those trends kind of died away. They didn't really take off and become an epidemic.
mm-hmm.
This doodle thing has been one of the biggest epidemics I've ever seen in the grooming industry or the dog world in general. And the thing that is really, really sad about it is that perfectly intelligent human beings that know better will go and spend $3,000 to $5,000 for a dog that is basically being farmed by people who don't know anything about what they're doing. The animals have no health testing. Most of the animals they use are absolutely inferior animals with bad temperaments, not good health or physical attributes. And they spend the enormous amount of money for these mutts. And I see in our shop, my little world, which is 65 to 70% doodles, I see all these enormous health issues, temperament problems,
Yeah,
lack of customer education, so these people don't know that they need to have their dogs in the shop when they're 3 months old to get trained so that they become good citizens, and we can control the hair situation because it also creates the most bizarre coats I've ever seen. So I don't know what to say about what the future looks like in that department.
would you think for like golden doodles? You think there's some that are bred good? Because I know.
I really can't speak to that because I am on guard at all times to keep my dogs out of any kind of breeding program that has anything to do with that.
Mhm.
Any breeder of purebred dogs is not going to want one of their dogs in that kind of a breeding program,
Mhm.
because so many times, and probably 98% of the time, the people that are involved in doing this kind of breeding don't really know anything about dogs when they get in it. So they
Yeah.
don't have, they haven't had a mentor. They haven't been,
I see.
mentorized up in. My mother, as much as we didn't get along when I was younger, my mother talked about things that were fundamentally important in dogs, and that was structure, movement, and temperament were primarily things that she harped on all the time. And it wasn't necessarily that she said it to me, but she said it to people that she was talking to when I was around, and that mantra got seated in my brain cells. And even though I didn't have really a mentor other than Chris in poodles, poodles are a dog, and if you follow the same fundamental thought process in that you're not breeding for pets, you're breeding to improve the breed every generation. You work diligently to try to improve every time you make a breeding. You're conscious of health issues and you do your health testing. And you very much have to be realistic and very aware of the temperaments that you're dealing with your dogs. And when you can be that, you're still not 100%, right? We still have shit happens. That's the way it is when you're dealing with a living animal.
Mm-hmm.
But in the doodle world, they're grabbing whatever standard poodle they can snag off of Craigslist or wherever, and they're snagging a golden retriever, no matter what the hell it looks like or where it comes from. Goldens have a whole basket of problems genetically. Poodles have their own whole basket. Now, they call this a hybrid, but it's actually not a hybrid because it's not two species that are crossing. It's the same species just crossing a different line. And instead of their quote unquote, it makes them healthier because they're crossbred, it doesn't work that way. You're actually marrying this basket of health issues to this basket of health issues, and you actually make them worse. Genetically, they're worse by doing this kind of breeding. Now, my vet told me the other day she's got 2 doodle breeders that are actually doing all their health testing. But that's 2 doodle breeders and how many hundreds
It's gotta
of
be
them?
rare, right? Yeah. I mean, I can see that.
So, and if you don't understand temperament, that's one of the biggest problems that I see in doodles is they've got really bad temperaments. Mm-hmm. They're completely overrun with anxiety, and their breeders, quote unquote, tell them they don't need to be groomed, and then they never see a groomer until they're mad at Solid and wearing a second skin. And then, it's the whole dynamic of we get blamed because we have to shave the dog down. It's an idiot. It takes months to train it if the customer will commit to getting in often enough to train it. And yet you could go spend a certain amount of money buying a dog from a quality purebred breeder. That puppy's had 5 or 6 baths, and it's had at least 3 or 4 haircuts before it even leaves your house, it leaves the breeder's house. And it has generational health testing behind it. So you have an animal that's more predictable in what you're going to get at the end, rather than rolling the dice and praying that you're going to get a serviceable animal. I've seen 80, 90-pound golden doodles that have had to have both of their stifles rebuilt because of bad genetics.
That's one thing I do say when
and
people...
that's not generally a big dog problem. It's usually a small dog problem.
Yeah. That's one thing I tell when people ask, like, hey, I want to find this dog, like, you know any breeders, and whether it's a relative or not, and they want to get something that's going to be relatively cheap that they find online, and I tell them, hey, there's a chance you're going to have some genetic problems. Remember, this is a 15-year investment that you're doing. Like, this dog's going to be with you for 15 years. If you spend $1,500 on a dog, that's for 15. If you do the math, let's say you spend $5,000 on that dog, that's going to be with you. The chances of that $5,000 dog being a better pet, health-wise and everything else, because if you get it from a reputable breeder, then you're better off with spending a little bit more, because they're not here for a year or 2. This is a long-term investment.
Right.
It might cost you more in vet bills later on too. So I always try to tell everybody this, because I learned that the hard way. My German Shepherd that I thought was going to be 100 pounds was 45 pounds. She always had hip problems, but that was just getting him from a backyard breeder. And I learned that the hard way. But that's just a lot of people don't understand, and people pay and people keep reading. But
well, I mean, thank God for doodles, because I guess that's what keeps us running right now, right?
100%. That's for sure. That's, I think most grooming salons, that's over 60% of their businesses for sure.
Yeah.
Compared to breeds, like, you don't see them very often either. So that's why I was asking, go back to that.
Well, for competition.